better turn the volume down. G'day everyone. Thought I'd pop in for a quick chat and answer a bit of a Q&A. Go over a wedding that I just did this weekend and just talk about how lucky we are really to be shooting Sony. So I thought I'd go through some of those images. I'm going to show you some of the retouch ones that I've done and also some of the images that are directly out of camera so you can sort of see what you can get with the latest sort of Sony gear and also the latest lenses that are sort of out. It'll give you an idea about what you can do with the retouching and also what you can do if you just want to use straight out of camera type work. Due to the fact that I shoot RAW, and the image is actually really good just straight out of camera, so I thought I'd talk to you all about that today. So say hi in the chat. We're going to give it a few minutes for people to realise that I'm live because this is not scheduled, and I'll put in the timeline down below when we're going to start. So we're just going to give it a few minutes for people to hop in on board. So let's just see who's here. G'day Fadamiak. You were just about to go to bed. What time is it over there? It must be reasonably late. I'm just looking at the time that it is around the world. So in England, London it's 6:35 at the moment. New York it's 1:35. Los Angeles is 10:35 p.m. And Melbourne is 3:35 p.m. Sometimes I like to pop in at different times so that other users can basically ask questions or join in with the chats, because usually it's earlier, but sometimes I like to pop on later so it gives the Europeans a chance to pop on board as well. So let's see who's here. So Phenomix here, Rui's here as well. Il Nugget is here. Rui was saying, thinking about going to bed also, maybe not now. No sleep for the wicked. Naram says hello. Altric says, hey David. Hero says, yay, I was just about to go to sleep and I have an excuse to stay up. Three Trees said that a rotor light in the back. No, it's not a rotor light. It's actually it's just a light itself, which is, it looks like that black hole picture, doesn't it? It's just a light that I love. I found it somewhere and I love the way it looks. So that's what that is. Chris says, hello, David. Brett says, g'day, David, or hello. Scott says, hey, David. Hero says, that's the black hole. I know, it does look like that picture of the black hole. That's what cracks me up. Chris said, hello, David. Late in Los Angeles, but a good Corona night. Cheers. Photomix says, not scheduled, you don't say. Marlon Hart says, hello from Bentley. Chris says, well, I meant by that I usually don't broadcast at this time. Chris says 10:30 in Southern California. Tim's also saying hi. Mark's saying happy you're here. Sanjoy says he's from India, saying hello. Your American subs are the only subs that matter. I love it. Thomas says 12:36 a.m. here. Hero says 1:36 means coffee time. I've just had a couple of coffees, but not the real coffee, not the fake coffee. Bruce is saying hi from California. Jake says, great wedding shot on your Instagram. That's the shoot that I'm going to go through now, Jake. I'm going to show you a few images from it so you can have a look. Tim says, when is the bloody Tamron turning up? You're talking about the 17mm that's coming out? I don't know, hopefully not too long, but they are now saying it might only be sort of up for pre-release in June, and then we may not get it until sort of September. So, I don't know. How does that look? Am I a bit dark? Let me know if I'm a bit dark because I'll increase the light a little bit. Do I look okay if you're looking at the image of me? Let me know in the chat. Should I be a bit brighter? 3 says, are you using the A6400? No, that's here. I'm only using my, I'm only using at the moment the A6400. So, sorry, the A7R2 and the 35mm 1.4. So that's what I'm using here. But let me know if I should brighten this up a little bit. Ride says, hello from Texas. Morning from the UK. Halfway through my burrito in Maine. Reuven said, or Reuven I think it'd be pronounced, says, g'day David. And John is saying, video looks good. So it's not too dark. Yeah, because I could lighten it if I need to. Sometimes it's hard to tell. How they actually look. So we've got quite a few watching now, so I'm going to give another minute or so. Now what I'm planning on doing is, does a kookaburra wake you up in the morning? Well, we do have a lot of kookaburras around here. They are nice to wake up to in the morning, so yes, we can hear them in the morning. We have heaps and heaps of birds here. Now, today I want to take you through just this last wedding that I did, just to sort of show you you know, what the images look like sort of retouched and what they look like straight out of camera. So I'm going to show you both. They're not the same images. The ones I've retouched, I don't want to show you the original ones of those because I don't want the bride to see the original ones when I've retouched them. So I'll show you a number of them that are edited, but then at the end I'll show you a number of them that aren't edited, so you'll get an idea about how they come out of the camera, straight out of camera without editing in Lightroom or anything. So I'll show you the raw photos, and then after that we can have a little bit of a chat for any Q&A that you want to ask me. I'm not sure. I may be live tomorrow with Aaron, but we're not sure because Aaron is going to Vegas, so we don't know whether we'll be able to have tomorrow's live show. I may pop on and still do it though, on my own or whatever. But I'll see if I still do it. I'll let you know anyway in the morning. What else have we got? Tim said, yes, your camera is squinting at you. Thomas said, glad to catch another one of your live shows. Thank you, Thomas. 3 said, I'd love to know how you stream this through the A7R2. Well, it's basically, I'm doing this through the, I've got to find where it is. It's actually through, what was it called? It's the link. I'm actually streaming this through the Cam Link. Now, this is the older version. This is the 1080p version. There is a new 4K version that's out now, but I'm just using the 1080p version of that. So it just goes directly into my computer through the USB. I also do have Ultra Studio mini recorders, but I'm not using that for this. So that's what that is. Hero says, I use the Sigma 150 to 600 on my A6 400 and it's insane, laugh out loud. Even the IAF is working great in low light. Yeah, I mean, I'm dying to try that lens out. I will eventually, when I can get it. Apparently, the next thing that C.R.Kennedy are going to get me to look at is some sign lenses. So I'm actually looking forward to that because it's going to be something a little bit different that I can look at. So, I mean, they're expensive sign lenses, but I'm really looking forward to having a go at trying that to do some videography, you know, manual focus, things like that. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I've heard that 150 to 600 is a great lens, and I will eventually get that on loan so I can review it. Photomix says, I will say one good thing about coming on this late is that Casper, the master loser, is probably sleeping in a cave. Poor Casper. What else have we got? Hero, you said his name, so he will pop up soon like Beetlejuice. I love it. You and Casper crack me up, honestly. Oh, it's so funny. All right, so let me just go to the thing and I'll just quickly start. I just want to put up the logo so I'll know where to put the time on this, so bear with me. G'day everyone, just popping in really for an unscheduled chat. I thought I'd just pop in and have a talk with you guys. I do like to pop in late in the day sometimes so that the European and others that can't see me live when I come on normally around 10:30 my time or 10 o'clock get a chance to join in on the live discussion. Today's topic really is just going to be taking you through a wedding that I did on the weekend, just to talk about how great the gear is now. I'm going to show you some edited images and also some images directly out of the camera, so you'll see how nice these images come out using the A7 III and the A9. And it'll be interesting to see what you think. You have to let me know in the comment box down below. I used the Tamron 28 to 75 mil, and also the 135 has been used in a couple of them as well. So I'll be able to show you some of the results that's getting out of them. But I do have to say the quality now that you're getting. Now look, this isn't only Sony. I mean, you also have these amazing gear if you're shooting Nikon and Canon and everything else, but I'm going to talk about it from a Sony perspective today and how lucky we are to be able to use this gear that we've got, because it really is beautiful, and the results you're getting out of this stuff is just amazing, and even directly out of camera. I mean, I could use these images really without almost any editing at all, but I am very, very fussy due to the fact that I came from a high-end retouching background, so that is my style. So the first images you see will be retouched, but then the last ones won't be. But I thought I'd take you through that, so let's have a look at it anyway, and I'll show you this beautiful wedding that I did the other day with Sean and Haley. And I just wanted to sort of talk about my thinking about this when I'm shooting. I always like to try, well, I don't try, I'm always paranoid about shooting details in the dresses, and I often see a lot of wedding photographers, particularly that are just starting to come into the industry, that they don't pay enough attention to the wedding dress. And what I mean by that is they always blow the highlights out. And that's one thing that I'm so fussy on. I don't care about what happens to basically anything, but I'll always make sure that I hold the detail in the wedding dress as much as possible, because they pay so much for that wedding dress. In some cases it's up to $10,000, even more dollars. So, and it really is important that you don't lose that detail that you're seeing in the dress. So I always concentrate on that. So I often meter for that to make sure that doesn't expose. And I know with the dynamic range, what the Sonys have, that I can pull the shadows back later on and get the detail back. So I just noticed Casper's in here. He is back in and having a go at Photomiac. I love it. So, it's important to do it. And images like this I love, where I've tried to make the connection between the bride and the groom looking at each other and just having a natural moment. All these images have been shot, when I say flash, there's one that hasn't got the flash on it. I've had the Profoto A1X has been used, and I used the diffusion dome on it to get it nice and soft. So that's what I used to get this to look really quite nice. And I was very happy with the way it worked. I used the Profoto Connect, which is a really small attachment on the camera. It was using TTL. And then I'd often change it to just manual and shoot from there. But this image here you can sort of see was late in the day. I really love how this has turned out. I love the connection, like I said, that's between the bride and the groom. The next one was quite heavily backlit. And there was a little bit of wind there, and that's what's made the veil actually sort of blow around in the wind here. And I laughed because one of the comments that someone made the other day, I can't remember, it might have been in Jason Lanier's group or something, it was somewhere anyway, said they love the image, but they didn't like the veil being yellow. It's yellow because the sun is filtering straight in. But you'll notice too, why I always adore things being backlit like this is because it adds separation. You can see it around her arm. If you look sort of through here, you can see that you've got that lovely separation that's coming down through there that you wouldn't have if it was naturally being shot. And sort of looking at that, it gives you that nice separation along the whole body and everywhere really. Now, I could have got rid of the chair in this scenario, but I didn't want to because it was environmental. They love this location. It's a really old homestead that's listed here, which means it's protected. But, I love the background being in it. That doesn't bother me at all. The main thing again here is that I've protected the highlights. Now, if I didn't use flash here, she would have been really dark due to the fact that she was heavily backlit. I mean, really quite heavily backlit. So I was just off camera. I was actually standing around. Let me just see if I can open this up and show you where we were standing. Where are we? So I was standing, or Kerry was standing just off camera, sort of around about here, with the Profoto A1X, and it just had the dome diffuser on. And she was lighting up Hayley from the front. So that's what's giving her that feel, so you can see her face and all the details in the dress. The clue to this being done that way is that you can see the shadow that's forming around here. So that gives you an idea that the light is coming in from this angle. So that's sort of important as well. But, I just love this. I love the image. I adore it. She's commented already on this to say how much she really loves it. This was shot with the Tamron 28 to 75mm. And it was also 1/200th of a second, f2.8, so I was shooting the Tamron wide open. And it's ISO 160, and I shot this at 42mm. And I love this image. I really do love it. The next image that I'll show you is this one. I wanted to do a black and white one as well. Now, you'll notice too here that I've only just sort of worked on this today, but you'll notice straight away whenever I start to pose girls in this regard, I usually ask them to lean their shoulder gently against there, but then I'll always ask them to put their hip, sort of pointing through this area, which gives them that lovely S-curve that you sort of see through here. It's really important to get that S-curve into their body. Her leg is also, sort of going across the other as well, which gives you that beautiful curve as well. Again, I'm always paranoid about hands. You can see that her hands are nicely relaxed and straight down the leg there. She's getting some nice fill. This is natural. This is just daylight. So there's no flash used in this scenario. This was complete daylight used here. But I just love the shape. I love the little gap. Wherever you can try and add curves or gaps between the arms and the body, you should try and do it. It doesn't matter so much here because she's got that nice shape through there, but there is a fraction of a gap there that you can see there. So there is still a gap there. She's giving me lovely contact directly at me, but again, yeah, nice image. I'm really happy with how that's turned out. I just posted this one today. I love this image due to the fact of the movement in the veil and even the hair. I really love this. This was shot with the Sony 135mm f1.8. This was daylight, so this is complete daylight used here. No flash was used at all. And I just adore this one. Again, you can see that I have added a bit of, I've pulled up the shadows and stuff like that on this image due to the fact that I wanted to make sure her dress had all that detail that you can see in it through here. So I wanted to make sure that that was all showing. Don't worry about the highlight warning. That's just the red bit there. It's just showing the highlight warning. But you can see how I've kept all the detail in the dress through there as well. So, you know, like I said, that's the most important thing for me. I love that movement in the veil. Again, you can see that she's bringing her leg forward to give a little bit of shape. And I've asked her to push the shoulder back. And this shoulder is slightly higher up than what that is. I always like the shoulders to be sort of on a bit of an angle through there. So, you know, that's also really beautiful as well. Again, this was shot at 1/250th of a second, f1.8 and ISO 320. Due to the fact that I'm shooting 135mm, even though my camera is stabilized, I like to try and keep the shutter speed up to, you know, to give a little bit of sharpness there to make sure that the image is going to be nice and sharp. But the 135 particularly, this lens is gorgeous. The way that she separates from the background and all of this, you know, is just basically gone, is just stunning, you know, and I just love the look. The more and more that I'm using this lens, the more and more I love it. I really do love it. I love the separation it gives. It's just gorgeous. It really is a beautiful lens to use. You know, they're tack sharp. It's just beautiful. Again, I love this. I love how dark it is and how much he pops out of that background. I love that movement that's sort of coming through the hair through here. You know, it's just, I just love it. Now, they're the retouch ones. There's another retouch one that I'll show you here before I show you the straight out of camera. This was another one that I've retouched and edited. I looked around. We were walking towards an old shed that you'll see in one of the other images that I'll show you in a minute. But I turned around and I saw the beautiful sunset going behind, and I said, oh, quick, go out there and I'm going to grab an image with you with that sunset in the background. This is the old homestead that's there. What I love about this too is that the fact that they're just about to kiss. I love that if you get that look there. Now, don't worry about the noise that's sort of grain that's showing through here. That's added. It's the processing I use. I love vintage type look, and I love that old film type look of grain. So that's been added. So don't please come in and say it's noisy. It's not. That's been added in there. You only see it, obviously, when you blow it up very large. But the thing I love about this, like I said, is that part kissing, just that bit where they're just about to touch. I love that. You know, make sure that the groom is sort of holding gently around the waist. She's also bringing her hand around the top there just to give that little bit of connection as well. And I've tried to balance the colour overall that you can see between her and the background. Now, that comes naturally when you use the Profoto lights because they are nice and warm in the lighting for these lights. So the Profoto A1 or any Profoto light I use, does give you a really nice warm look. So I haven't changed that aspect of it. It's just naturally there. Again, I've exposed with the ambient, so I did expose for this up the top to make sure that that was all beautifully exposed. Then Kerry is standing over here, just off camera, and she's again just holding the Profoto A1 with a dome diffuser on it. And she's just lighting up the couple through here with that. And, you know, I've tried to balance the ambient flash in here, in other words, to light them up to match the background. Now, a trick when you're doing this is, when you're doing it, one of the great things that you can do about this is to try and make it so it doesn't look so obvious that you've used flash. they should almost blend in with the background without being too overexposed. And that's one thing where I can say I don't like images where you can tell that there's massive amounts of flash being used. I mean, you can tell this has had flash because it is reasonably bright in the dress, but I haven't taken it too far where, I don't believe I have, where, she really looks like there's been flash overused. I've tried to balance the ambient light with the background light, and the color and everything here is just beautiful. And again, all the detail is kept in the dress, so you can see that all through here. And like I said, that's the most important thing for me, like I said, is to keep that detail. And that's one thing that the brides always comment on, that they're amazed that I can keep such beautiful detail in their wedding dresses. So they're the retouch ones. So now let me show you now some images directly out of camera. Now these will be improved 1,000,000% when they're edited later on. But I thought I'd show you some, because rather than show you some of the stuff that have been highly edited, I could show you some of the images that, are directly out of camera. So this is the first one that we're looking at. And now the red that you'll see at the top just means that there's clipping. I haven't edited these at all. I just have to bring down the highlights a little bit, and you'd see that will disappear. And then, like I said, I just do some retouching on this, take it into Photoshop, sharpening up. There's no sharpening being done on this yet at all. These are directly out of camera. This was the 135mm as well that's been used here. And so really all I've made sure that I do here is that I've got the detail again in the dress, because remember, if that detail is gone, you can't get it back. So that's the thing that's more important to me, and it's a blessing now with the newer sensors, particularly from the Sony side of things, that you can bring back all the colors and the shadow detail and everything later on. So it's always important to expose for those highlights. So that's the first image I'll show you. The second image is basically the same, but you can just see that all I'm doing here is getting them to walk. And again, this is with the 135 Sony. They're just looking at each other. I love that connection. I often try and shoot that way when they're not always looking at me. I like to sort of do things, with them looking nicely and things like that. So they're looking nicely together. This is another one where she's with the bridesmaid. Just a little bit of fun. I'm always joking with them and things like that and getting them to smile, talking about them being like models and saying, work it, and things like that. And it just has a lot of fun with the, I was going to say models, but this was a real wedding, so they're not models. But, it's good. And I always try and get that side of it, that communication going with them, so we can have a lot of fun as well with them. Like I said, these are going to come up amazing once they're edited. They will look 1,000,000% nicer than what they are now. That's another one, again, where you can see the shape that I've tried to get them with their arms and legs and things like that, just to add some a nice bit of curves in between them. You can see that there, and she's doing the same thing. I instruct them, I talk to them all about this before the wedding, so I give them discussions about that, particularly about holding their arms away from their body, due to the fact that, you have problems here where the arm will start to fatten out. It doesn't matter how slim they are, the arms will start to fatten out. So I talk to them all about this and how they position their chins, everything else. So, it's, again, nice images. This one was just one where I asked her to sit down on the ground. Again, this is the 135, lit up with the Profoto A1 in the background. I think these were all the A7 III, I think. I don't think I put any A9 ones in. I'm just seeing if I've used any A9 ones in here. No, I don't think I have. Yes, that's the A9. So that is the A9, and that one there is the A9. So there's two images there that were the A9. The rest of them are the A7 III. So this one again will be lovely. Again, I've tried to hold the detail in the dress. This will be beautiful when I start to retouch this and add some detail and things like that. That's there. You just don't see it at the moment. That'll come in when I do my editing, so it'll be beautiful. Another one here too, standing against this old shed. Again, I've just made sure that I've held the detail. Made sure I didn't blow out the lights that are sort of sitting in this background here. Once I start to retouch this, I'll bring some light and everything into her face a little bit more. And I'll be, these will come up beautiful when they're edited as well. Really looking forward to editing some of these. Haley was beautiful. She's a beautiful bride. So it's just something I wanted to sort of show you when, when we're going through these, how gorgeous the images come up when you, when you retouch them. And I can't wait to sort of present this whole wedding once I've retouched all through these. So that's really all I wanted to show you from the wedding side of things. The Tamron always amazes me for the price that lens is. It's just a stunning lens when you think the cost is compared to, say, having the G Master lens version of that, that lens. You could buy another lens for the money you're saving. And you saw the quality that you're getting straight out of camera using that G Master. Also, the 28-75. Also the Sony 135. The more and more I use that, it's astounding. The separation you get between the background and your bride or whatever you want to do is just incredible. The separation is just amazing. So that's it. So I just wanted to open up the chat to have a little bit of a discussion. We can talk about this for a little bit. See if you have any questions about what we were doing. Where were we? I was laughing at Casper joining the chat. Hero says, one day I'll learn how to use Photoshop and retouching, but so far I'm fine with Lightroom, auto button. Everything Man, what's up, brother? G'day, mate. How you going? Love your channel. I've been watching the Everything Man all the time. He has some really good stuff. Photomic said, hey, Everything Man. I can get my hands on, man. Hero says, oh, snap. Team to God in the house. Photomix says, oh, wait, that's Everyday Dad bod. Yep. What else have we got? Photomix. Check out my channel if you're interested about the abilities of the Sony A7 III update. What else have we got? Bruce said, wow, black and white looks great. Yeah, I do always give some black and white images, so I try to mix it up a little bit. I'll have some black and white ones. I'll crop differently, some square, as you saw, that I'll put also on Instagram and things like that. So I don't just give everything the same. So, I'll do different croppings. I'll do some panoramic all the time. I try and vary it all through. Three Trees, I said, people worry way too much about some things in background like cars date a photo. When people use an old car for a photo shoot, they will never be able to date the photo. I often don't worry about stuff like that at all. Yeah, that usually doesn't bother me. If it's environmental, I'll try and keep most things as they are. If it's ugly, I'll try and get rid of it. But I usually won't retouch it out. I'll try and stand them in a position where, they won't see them. I need to write this stuff down. I can't post people to save my life, Hero said. Photomix said, did you see my latest thick chick trailer? Hero says, I use the 105 1.4, so it doesn't matter what's in the background. That's right, you wouldn't even see it. Exactly, I love it. What else have we got? Julian says, amazing shot. Thank you so much, Julian. Photomix says, I woke up at 3 a.m. this morning to do that shoot. That's his video. Yeah, I've got to watch that yet, Photomic. What else? Sweet Tree said, I switched to Sony so I could use less flash and go more natural. I'm starting to do a lot more natural shooting now, though, than what I've ever done before, and I really love it. Like when you look at that, the first thing most photographers would tend to do is immediately use flash on that, on this one here. As long as you expose correctly, it's amazing what you can do with natural light, and that's the thing that you've got to do. And having that ability to bring up the shadows really can change the way you think. You've just got to make sure you pose the bride correctly, though. Turn her face towards the light as much as possible and things like that. So, but I am using natural light more and more, like even in that one too, where I've used the natural light streaming in here as well. So I am using natural light more and more. It doesn't mean that I still don't use flash. You have to in this type of scenario because they would have just been too dark. There was no way of getting around that without using a flash. There was no way of getting around that without using a flash either, due to the fact that she's so heavily backlit. So you still do have to do that in that case. But yeah, there's no problem at all with using available light, which you can see here. And I adore that image, and that's no flash at all. So yes, you can do amazing work without that, without using a flash. Hero said 720p is fine for a live stream, though most people watch on their phones. Welcome to the Sony. No, 3 trees. Photomix says even the 720 was trash. It was like 720 garbage with dropped frames. Is that on your channel or is that this one's low for frames? Where are we? Photomix said some guy on the A9 forum on Facebook was selling his A9 24GM 50 1.5 Zeiss and 35mm GM. He only had the camera for 24 hours, said he wanted to go back to Canon. I saw that and I couldn't believe that you would do that. What? I mean, that is just stupid. Why on earth would you spend all that money? He should have rented this and tested it well in advance before he just jumped like that. That's crazy. Now he's going to lose money and it's ludicrous if you ask me. If you're going to buy into that gear, you have to give it at least a go. Yeah, that was very strange, that comment. I did see that. Hero said 24 hours. Luckily, he took it back. Photomix says, why even switch in the first place? Exactly. And that's the thing I don't understand. If you're totally happy, there's no reason to switch in the first place. Brandon says, guess he didn't like the menu system, so he went back to Canon. There are a lot of scammers pretending to sell pricey gear. Be careful. What else have we got? Brandon says, it could always be worse or better. There's always ways of improving the equipment and software. That's where there's new models like every 3 years or more. 3 Trace said, David, do you do all of your work on the Mac Pro trash can? Yes, I do. Well, I can't remember the specs. It's the highest spec one you could get. So it's the 12 core one, whatever that one was. Maxed out everything. It cost me a fortune when I bought it. But yes, it's the maxed out one. It's still really good. Does 4K like butter. So, yeah, and it's got the highest. They've got 2 graphics cards inside it. Whatever they were, I can't remember. I've had it for a while though. I mean, a new computer probably would blow this away now, but it's still doing everything I need. So, what else have we got? All right, I've reached my limit, fellas. I'm about to pass out. Good night, Photomiac. Yes, Sony is great natural. Hero says 99. And this is the other thing why I can't understand why everyone keeps going on about when you see it that the Sony colours are so bad. You can't tell me when you're looking at these images straight out of camera, you cannot tell me that the skin colours are not nice straight out of camera. Yes, these have to be retouched now or even edited. These have had nothing done to them. Nothing at all. They are directly out of camera. You can see that there. Nothing has been done. Nothing there has been changed whatsoever. So, you know, when people say that the Sony colours are not beautiful, and they always go on about the colour science, this is why I laugh at them, because you've got to be kidding me. You really do. It's just complete fake news. Rui says, can you use more than one light with both lights using TTL? Yes, you can. Yep. You can have up to 20, I believe. Oh, no, that's channels. I can't remember how many you can have, but yes, you can. You can use multiple lights. Hello. Oh, thank you, Kerry. She's just bought me a lovely coffee, and isn't she delightful? Thank you, sweetheart.
No worries. Back to work.
Back to work. What else have we got? So, yes, you can use multiple lights, yes. Rui says... Oh, that's what I read. John says, hi, David. Your opinion on going the iPad Pro direction for culling? Look, I've got iPad Pros, but I don't do it. I still use my desktop computer. Oh, she dropped something over, did she? Yeah, I use my desktop computer for everything. I don't use the iPad Pros at all. So I just like to use, I just like to use my Wacom tablet. I like to use my keyboard. I like to use the mouse. I love the massive screens, so it's just not me. I mean, I might do it one day, but it's just not what I want to do at the moment. I tried it. I just don't like it. Let me just cancel this backup, though, because it's probably going to slow my machine down. What else have we got? John says, hi. Oh, no, I read that. Scott says, I've seen a few of these on Facebook already. Awesome shots. I'm taking notes on the posing, too. Hero said, was that IKEA's stream earlier? Extreme earlier. I think that's what. Okay, that's what you're talking about the drop things. That's okay. What's the highest ISO used on the A6400, A7 III? I'll push it up to almost anything. The secret is 64. Look, usually I'll tap it out at 6400. But the secret is you have to expose correctly. When you're doing that, do not underexpose. And this is the thing that's really important about this. If you underexpose, you are going to see noise like crazy, because raising your shadows, that's where the noise is. So if you expose correctly or slightly overexpose, you won't really notice the noise, and you could shoot at 6400 without an issue. The secret is to expose correctly. I'm tempted currently to buy the A7R III since it's on sale right now. It'll be in Southeast Asia taking landscape at the end of the year. If you're doing landscape, the A7R III is a great camera. Let me just have a drink of my coffee in the Sony mug. Ooh. What else have we got? I switched because I was drawing at WPPI 217. I won a drawing, okay. Altric said, I think the sweet 8 pound, 4 pound baby. I'm not sure what that means. Hero says, if you're waiting till the end of the year, I'd wait because Sony is going to announce something new before then. Yes, hopefully they certainly will. Three Tree says, I always thought the Mac trash cam was a pretty sweet machine. Yeah, well, I bought that in 2013 or 14. And it's still flying even now. It's been great value. Yes, it was incredibly expensive when I bought it. I think it was $12,000. It was crazy money when I bought it. But it's lasted me all this time, and it's still working for me. Never overheats. It's on now right next to my microphone. There's no noise. Does 4K editing great. Yeah, it's fantastic. I wouldn't buy one now, though. I mean, I'd get a new iMac or whatever until they produce something new. When they produce something new, a new tower like that, I might buy that. Thomas says, true, but I doubt they'll be releasing a new 42 megapixel camera this year. Hero says they might drop 100 megapixel. Well, you never know. They may release something like that. We're still waiting on Sony updating their cameras, remember. At this stage, we just don't know when that's going to be. There's rumours. I think Sony Alpha Rumors had something up today, I think. Let me just check, because I noticed that they had up something about something new was going to be announced on June the 5th. It says down here, where are we? Let me just get this up so we can have a look. It says here that new Sony A3 product announcement around June the 5th to 6th. I might be able to talk more about this when we have our, on the Friday live Sony News and Rumours show. But they're saying it doesn't look like it's going to be an A9 II or an A7S II. They're saying at this stage it doesn't look like that at all. So maybe lenses only. So they're not sure whether they're going to hit us with something like an A7000 or whatever. I don't know, but it looks like it may be lenses that's announced, but we'll have to wait and see. At this stage, it's just rumours. But it is an SR5, so that's rated pretty high, like usually it's going to happen. So that was announced today. So keep your fingers crossed that it's something exciting. Let me just come back to the chat. Hero says, okay, I need to work on exposure then. I'm afraid to shoot over ISO 800. Yeah, don't be afraid, Hero. You need to practice. But like I said, the secret with using high ISO is to nail your exposure. Never underexpose. If you underexpose, you're in big trouble. You have to go dead on or slightly over. It's always probably a little bit better to go over. All your noise usually resides in the shadows. So, you know, that's the important thing. I often shoot at 6400 and the images look fine. Sometimes I have to use a little bit of noise reduction, but that's okay. Brandon says, Ken said, big fan, wedding photographer here. Oh, thank you so much, Ken. We currently have an A7 III, but thinking about buying a second body. Should I buy the A7R III or the A9. Definitely get the A9, Ken. No hesitation at all. If you're shooting that sort of stuff, the A9 will blow your mind. Definitely get that. Brandon says, don't be afraid to push the ISO. Experiment to see what noise levels looks like in different situations. I've pushed it 80,000 for night shots. So have I. I've gone to ridiculous levels sometimes. Remember, the more important thing is getting the shot, and that's what you got to think about here. Don't worry so much about noise. Worry more about getting the emotion and to make sure you get the shot. But do not underexpose. That's the critical thing that I'd say. A7R, Mr. David Oster, my money's on June the 5th. You're saying you're going to buy, hopefully it'll be something worth buying. Hero says A9 on sale, that's a steal for 3,100. Yep, the A9 is great value at the moment. Even if they bring out a new camera, the A9 is still an amazing camera. It's still the best camera that's out there. So if they bring out a new one, you're going to have the second best camera. And at that price, it'll be fantastic. You can bet that the new A9 II or whatever, if it is announced, and I'm not 100% sure it will be way more expensive than what that's going to be. And the A9 is still going to be fantastic for a number of years yet. Hero Shots, the A6 500 is good, maxed out at 6,400 is what I've seen it shoot. I've taken the A6 400 and the A6 to 3,200 and got pretty good results. So I'm happy with the A6 400, even going up to 6,400 sometimes. You have to use a little bit of noise reduction, but nail your exposure. Steve is saying greetings all. Hero says, yup, I have to play around with it. Yeah, the best thing I can say to you is go out late in the day with someone that you just, a friend or whatever, and start shooting and then take it back to Lightroom and have a look at. Usually though, I will start to add lighting, and that's one thing that you have to understand, that I'll usually add continuous lighting or something like that and light up my main subject. And I'll still have to push the ISO, but I don't push it to ridiculous levels. But I have done that, and I'm confident in doing that if I need to. I think people are too afraid of ISO and a little bit of noise. And like I said, noise does not bother me at all. Like I said, it gives a filmic look. And I've never ever had a bride or a client complain to me that it's noisy. They look at the image for emotion. They look at it, what the story is trying to tell you about. They're not looking at it for noise. I can tell you that now. But nail your exposure. Brandon says, only underexpose if you want to put on a filter and look like all the popular IG photos now. Yep. Yeah, I never underexpose. I always do it a fraction over and then I can bring it down if I need to. Always better for noise. Something tells me that since the A9 is on sale for so long, they might release an A9 II. Well, they probably will eventually. We just don't know when. Hero says, trying to sell off the A9 stock. Peter says, picked up the A9 last week and the Moza Air. Both arrived on Friday. Oh, fantastic, Peter. Was it the Moza Air Cross or the Moza Air 2? I've just got the Moza Air 2 and I love it. I also love the Air Cross as well. I just recently bought, the Moza Air 2. I love that gimbal. It's fantastic. It's here. This is amazing. Now it is bigger. I mean, it's a decent size, but it is a beautiful, beautiful gimbal. I love it. And what I love about it so much is that it can be so out of balance. The motors are so strong that that it'll just balance itself. It's unbelievable. It's definitely my favorite gimbal I've ever had. So that's congratulations. So you've got the A9 and the Moza Air 2. Whew, you're going to love it. That's my favorite combination. That's my favorite movie combination, putting that on there. But the great thing is that, the interesting thing is that it seems to handle my A6 400 beautifully on the Moza Air. And this is light. And it handles it fantastic. I really love that Air Cross. The Moza Air 2, I really like it. And it'll take £9 or some ridiculous thing. Like, you can put an FF7 on that thing. It's awesome. G'day, Ben. Good to see you in here. Steve Wag have shot 51-200 on the A7 III. Yep, doesn't surprise me at all, Steve. Brandon says you'd have to blow up the prints pretty large nowadays to think it's noticeable in noise. I agree with you. And don't forget, if ever you think you've gone a little bit too far with noise, you can always use noise reduction as well. Biggest I'd be blowing up is 20 by 30, something like that. I very rarely go over that as well, so you're not going to have an issue. Gary says, morning Dave from the UK, does the Moser Air 2 work with... Yes, it does. Now, it doesn't give you focus, no. It will control your aperture, shutter speed and ISO though. I think that's pretty well right. And that's good, so it does work that on. It will charge the battery. It's got a cable at the back. This is what you connect to the... let me just switch cameras. This is... Oh, I know why it's a bit darker. Bear with me just for a second. I usually put those lights on as well. This here is the cable that it uses. So you plug that into the USB port on the camera, and then it will charge the battery up, which is fantastic because this thing lasts about 15 hours. It's ridiculous. It lasts forever. I bought a second set of batteries anyway. But once this is plugged in, it will charge up the A6400, which is great, which means, you know, it'll keep going. Plus, on the screen at the back through here, you can set it so that it works your camera, and you can, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember, I'm pretty sure it's your aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. Can all be changed from your dial, your wheel here, so you don't have to control the settings on there. It's great, but the good thing about this one is when you mount it, once you've mounted it, you can take it off, and this base plate sits on there forever, so you don't have to rebalance when you put your camera back in. It's fantastic. I love that part to it. It's really good. The other thing it does that I love as well is it auto-calibrates, which is also fantastic. But the motors are just so powerful on this. Like I said, it will take 9 pounds or some crazy weight. It's fantastic. The wheel here I use to get the horizon straight. But you can put follow focus devices on and stuff like that if you want to do manual focusing and things like that, and that will work, but only obviously in manual focus, not in auto. It may be possible one day to do it if Sony allow it. I think that's the thing that, you know, that they have to do. The follow focus is via the wheel on the side, yes, but it won't work with Sony cameras though. You can't do that with Sony cameras yet. I'm pretty sure that follow focus only works with Canon, I think. Peter says, I used the Crane 2 for a whole day a couple of weeks ago with the D850 and it was hurting by the end of the day, but the results were still good. That is not my kit. The A9 adds to the A7 III. It's still a pretty heavy combo, but I've got something that Small Rig have sent me. I'm still waiting on another part that I'll show you. They sent me this. So we'll be reviewing this in the coming days. It's a handle that, I love it. It's fantastic. Let me just screw it in so I can show you. So this handle connects, and this will work with a number of the gimbals, but this handle connects via, I'll try and show you what it looks like on Small Rig because it's so cool. I can't wait to get the other connection. That's the only thing at this stage that I'm waiting on. Let me just go Small Rig. Where is it? I'm just trying to see if I can find it. Where is it? Because it's so good. I'd love to show you guys what this looks like. Let me just scroll over here so you're not bored looking at me trying to find stuff. Let me just go home. Let me see if I can find this little device for you. What would it be under? Handle. Might be under handles. Moser. Okay, so this is it here. So this is the handle itself. But what it does, it doesn't actually attach through here. It attaches, I've bought another device which attaches through here. Let me just see if I can get another picture and show you guys what it looks like. So this is fantastic. So the one I've bought is a handle that connects around there. I've just got to wait for it to be delivered. And you can see it gives you a second pivot. So it's almost like the Crane Weeble or whatever it is that's come out. So it's another way of doing that. Now the great part is this can just come off if you don't want to use it. You can see you can move it to any angle and stuff like this on the side there. You can use it for multiple different things. But, you know, I really can't wait to do this because it is quite heavy if you put something like an A9 on a decent lens. So having that ability to be able to, you know, hold onto the gimbal like this and then also have a second handle that you can hold here to take the weight off will make a big difference. So that's what I'm waiting on. So I'm just waiting on now Small Rig to send me the other part to this that will then go on to the actual gimbal itself. And that's what attaches onto this part here. So I'm just waiting on that. So hopefully it won't take too long to come, but looks really good, really good. And it's not that expensive. It was only $89 if you want to buy that, but then you have to buy the adapter, which I'll show you what that looks like. Does it mention it? So you can see here too that you can get DJI Rowan S mounting clamp, so it will fit on that. There's also a Crane 2 mounting clamp, and the Moser Air 2 mounting clamp is this. So you have to buy this as well. And this is what I'm waiting on, is just that, which attaches on the side. Now the great part is it also gives you some mounting options there too. So this is meant to be shipped out by May the 30th, the estimated time. So I should be getting it reasonably soon. And you can see how, you know, you just open it up like that and then it attaches onto the gimbal like that. And then you can see how that attaches into the top there. But you've got that mounting where you can then stick a monitor in if you like and things like that. So, you know, great setup. Really is a great setup. So I'll be reviewing that when I get it anyway. So stay tuned for that. That's in the coming days, I would think. Thanks to Small Rig for sending me that. Make sure the dude slap that thumbs up. Yeah, please, if you could, I'd love a thumbs up from you guys. Follow focus via the wheel on the side. Yeah, that's only if you have got a Canon though. Wow, this, unless you add the attachment, then you can do it, yes. Hero says, wow, that looks so much better than the Moser Aircross I tried to use. Yeah, it is. Look, it's a much better gimbal than the Aircross. The Aircross is great, though, if you want a light gimbal. But the Air 2, even though it's heavier, the motors are just so much better. And if it's unbalanced, it doesn't even matter. It just keeps going. Peter says, any camera will work with a follow focus. It's a separate... Oh, yes, it is. Yeah, it's a separate kit. But I believe the Canon can get that to focus, though, Peter, I believe, from that wheel. We can't do it, though, with Sony. Mark's saying good night. Good night, Mark. Brandon says, could you mount a continuous light on that little ring? Yes, you could. That's the beauty of that. You can mount anything to that little ring that's around it. That's like I said, what they're showing through here, where they've got a monitor on. But, you know, you could mount a continuous light, whatever you wanted to do to put onto there. So, you know, so it's a great system. I still love my Aircross 2, don't get me wrong, but there's a new Aircross that's coming out. Yeah, the Aircross 2. Same thing as Moser 2, but lighter. Yeah, I'm not sure if it takes the same weight, though, does it, S Whiskey? It may not, I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see when that comes out, but I'm so happy with that now. I don't mind the weight. It's fine. I'm quite comfortable. Peter says, wow, okay, I'll have to go with the 5D3. Yeah. And that's about it, unless you have any other last questions that you'd like to ask before we finish up, because I've caught up with all the questions. I got my A6400 back the other day. So I was thankful of that. Sony replaced the board inside this. Which was great. I was having trouble connecting the USB. The USB port didn't work, so I sent it off to Pro support. I got it back in a week, so they did a fantastic job. They've replaced the motherboard inside this. And I've just tested it and it works fine now. So at least I've got that back because I really did miss this. I love using it. So luckily I got it back in time for the wedding on the weekend. So I will be reviewing this lens shortly too, the 16mm. Beautiful lens. I've got to review that too for you guys as well. The Sigma. I adore it. What have we got here? Not the same payload, but it has RGB lights. Oh, okay. So it's, yeah, I didn't think it'd be the same payload. Rui says, it looks like you were using the new roadless wipes on your new videos. Yes, I do. I did. I love them. They're not in here, though, are they? No, they're... Oh, yes, they are. They're here. No, they're in the other room. That's the pouch for it. Yeah, I do. I absolutely love them. I mean, I know it's sort of just sat there. I couldn't be bothered to hide it, but it's for a YouTuber, it's fantastic because you can just plug them in and off you go. Like it really does make things so much easier where you don't have to, worry about lapels and putting things in your pockets and stuff like that. It's fantastic. I love them. I bought 2 sets actually, so they're fantastic. Chris says, how much is the reg in the USA? What's that for, Chris? I'm not sure what you want to know how much it is for. Hello, everyone. Hi, David. Fellow alumni from the JL Facebook University. Shot my first wedding in March with my A7 III and the A7 R2. Super stressful. Any advice on how to transition into shooting videos? Well, if you're talking about doing weddings and stuff, I would concentrate on doing the still side of it first. And when you said you were stressful, get to the point where you're not stressed any longer, because I can tell you adding video onto wedding photography is another level. So you've really got to make sure that you're comfortable doing the photography side of it first, then slowly add video into your workflow. It might be good too if you can offer to work for another photographer and shoot the behind the scenes or something for that photographer, or and sort of work that way. Do it for free. What I mean by that is have them pay for the still side of it, but at the same time shoot the video side of it, so there's no pressure on you for delivering that. And then you can always give them that video as a freebie add-on. Just say, look, I did this at the same time. It's a freebie for you. The bride will love you. There's no pressure because you're not being paid to do the videography. That's what I'd say to do, is do it for free for a number of weddings before you, and then once you start feeling confident enough that you can do it for being paid for, then start to charge for it. Terry says, the fat, angry tattoo disagrees with you. You're talking about disagrees with Sony's good. I know. Noel says, just got myself a gimbal. Should be tons of fun. You'll love it, Noel. It's so much fun. Thomas said, Aircross 2 for mirrorless. Digital SLR up to 5.5 pounds. At least that is what B&H has listed. Yeah, it won't be anywhere near what the Air 2 will be. Your gimbal device cost? Well, I'm not sure what they are in B&H. Let me just see. Well, let me go to small rig. We'll go to Moser, because they're always in. They're always in US dollars. Where are we? So let's go here, and we'll have a look. Oh, that's the film kit. I've just gone to that. I didn't want to do that. You can buy it with a Nikon Z6 camera. I don't want to buy it with that. Let me see if I can... Oh, hang on. I should just be able to... They've got some really interesting things coming up too. Like really, they've got some amazing gear. You can buy the Moser Aircross at the moment for $299. Like, that is so cheap. That's because the new one's coming out. That's the one I've got, and I love that. So you can get that now at $299, which is a really good price. The Aircross 2, that's the reason why that's so cheap, is because the Aircross 2 is coming out. Does it have... Let me just find the Air 2. So it's $600 US at the moment. So if you wanted to buy it now, it's $600 US. I suppose the B&H price would be roughly about the same as that. So you can buy a little bit cheaper if you buy it. Oh, well, I'm not sure. I don't know what it is at B&H. It's probably a similar price. Peter just said he got it for 710 Aussie. Yep. So so that's not a bad price for Australia, Peter. So that's pretty good. So if you wanted to get that, I'm interested in looking at a couple of things. I'm certainly interested in looking at that. This, and I hope I can get a review of this, a review unit, because this looks really interesting. If you look at this slide pod that's coming out, it looks pretty cool. I don't know whether you've seen this or not, but I think you'll be able to get some fantastic product photography and stuff like that with this unit. I'll just leave it playing because you're going to be able to see what it does. And it'll start to move in and out. So it looks like it's a great little device. Something a little bit different. Like I said, for product photography, for doing wedding stuff will be amazing, like for doing flowers and the ring shots and things like that for me. It's a very small profile. You control it from your phone. So this is something that I wouldn't mind to have a look at in the future. Hopefully I can get a version of this, and then I can demo it for you guys to show you what it's like. But it looks really interesting. Let me just go back to the questions, Q&A. Ben said baby steps when it comes to adding video. Yeah, Ben's starting to learn that now, but he's also tagged along with me and watched how I do it, so that's a big advantage that Ben had. And he's also said that he's going to follow me in a wedding and shoot the video for free, like behind the scenes, and do me behind the scenes and shoot that for them, so he'll be learning at the same time. What else have we got? Got to get back to work. No worries, Knowles. Peter says, I got the Air 2 for 710 Aussie. That's a pretty good price. Which lens are you using right now? I'm using the Sony 35, 34mm 1.4. 35mm 1.4. That's what I'm using. The Zeiss version, the big one. Thomas says, it is the same. Hero says, the Moser Air 2 is $5.99, but it's on back order. Okay, Adorama, interesting. Brandon says the light painting would be consistent with that motored arm. Yeah, it would be actually. Like I said, I'd really like to have a try of it just to see how well it works. It'd be fantastic. I don't know whether you can see through here whether it shows. I'm just trying to see whether it shows with the Air 2, just to sort of see the payload that this thing has. You can see, and I'm not sponsored by them at all. I paid for that gimbal. So, yeah, I'm not saying this because I'm sponsored. It has 16 hours of battery life. You can put 1.6 kilos on there. 4.2 kilograms. I think it's 9 pounds, something like that, is on there. You can connect the follow focus systems, which is what you see through here with it. You can see here it's got an FS5 or something on there, whatever that is. You can fit a massive payload on this, device. It has time lapse, all stuff like that. It's really good. I mean, I really like it. It's got the Inception mode, which most of them have as well. It's got a great screen, auto tuning, stuff like that. I'm just trying to see if it shows you the controls. You can see here where it shows ISO and stuff. You can see there it shows you ISO 3200, and you can change that from the thing here. That's why it's got TV, AV, and ISO. So if you click on the top, it will do your aperture. Down the bottom it will be aperture. Up the top will be your shutter speed, and across there will be how you change your ISO. I've found though it's a little bit flaky yet. I think they still have to do a couple of firmware upgrades. It seems to show up, but then the next time I go and try it, it's not working properly. So I think they may need to still work on the firmware. That's only just recently been added. So I think they need a bit more firmware to really make that work very, very well. That's a follow focus system that you can use there as well. But it's such a great gimbal. It really is. What else have we got? Brandon said, oh yeah, I read that before. Gimbals versus Steadicams. I prefer gimbal, definitely. Definitely the way that I work. And that's about it. All right, guys, I'm going to go and head off. I'm going to start getting dinner ready. I just wanted to pop in and sort of have a discussion about Sony and stuff like that and give you a quick Q&A. Stay tuned. I may be on tomorrow with Aaron. Apparently, he's going to Vegas, so I'm not sure whether we'll be able to get Aaron on the show for the Behind the Photo show. I may still do it. If not, it'll be on next week, but I'll definitely run the video on Friday, which is my Sony News and Rumours show, so stay tuned for that. Apart from that, I'll have another couple of videos up during the week. That's all, guys. See you all soon in the next video, and thanks for tuning in. Give me a big thumbs up if you can. And apart from that, I'll see you on the next video. G'day, everyone.